visionary, an entrepreneur, a business owner. You want to make money from your passion and create the freedom that you've dreamed of. But it's slow. The income is slow, the impact is slow, and the freedom is slow. And here's the kicker. You've actually never been busier. You're working longer than ever, burning through daylight, and your family have forgotten who you are. You're tired and frustrated and you can't even sleep well at night. The business just feels so heavy, and all you ever wanted to do was just make the money you want to make doing the things that you want to do. And that's where I come in. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm the host of the Business Acceleration Podcast, where we shift your business from heavy to light, time poor to time abundant, and from income lack to income growth. We're going to achieve it together with my 20 years experience as a psychologist, helping people just like you to break through their barriers. And we're going to throw in a little of the woo as well. So thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Acceleration Podcast. I'm really pleased that you're here today because we're going to talk about something that happens in all businesses. It doesn't matter how big, how medium, how small they are. It's part of the business journey, and it really requires you, as even I know, to put your big girl pants on and show up in the way that you really need to in order to help propel your business forward. So welcome to the episode. If you can hear birds chirping, it's just because I'm recording from my other office today, and I think I mentioned last time that there are lots of birds that like to fly around in the trees here, so you might hear that, and I hope it's not too much of a distraction for you. So sometimes we can be doing all of the things in business, can't we? And what happens as a result of that is we think that we're setting ourselves up for success. And of course, that's the whole plan. That's the whole idea. But I think sometimes when you're a solo entrepreneur and you're female, I think that what can happen is you become super sensitive to some of the things that are going on around you. And because the business is an extension of your soul and your purpose, of course, you're going to take things, personally into heart when things aren't going your way. And so you may recall from previous episodes, I was talking about the concept of seasons in your business. And I spoke about the season of summer in your business, and that's really where everything's just kicking along really nicely. It's all really stable. It's happy days. You're loving it. Autumn is a period in your business where there's a shedding, where there's a letting go, where you're starting to say, well, perhaps I don't need this in the business anymore. And maybe you're thinking about your processes. Maybe you're thinking about a particular demographic that you work with. Perhaps you're thinking about letting go of something you've been working on because you feel like it's no longer aligned with you. But autumn is really around letting go. After that process happens, we move into the winter stage. And the winter stage in your business is where everything kind of sits still. We might experience it like a bit of a plateau. And, this is the time when I guess we're kind of thinking, where are the clients? Where are the sales? What should I be doing now? And sometimes panic can kick in. And then we move into spring. And spring is where the growth happens. So looking back at some of those seasons, I think, in the business for me at the moment, I think that perhaps my business is in a stage of autumn. And this came about as a discussion that I had this morning with two colleagues. And isn't it so helpful when you get to talk to colleagues who understand what you're going through? And I'm forever grateful for their insights and their wisdom. Keep me very grounded, which is great, and accountable, which is even better. But I came to realize upon reflection of my chat with them this morning that perhaps my business is just in the season of winter, and perhaps my business is just in the season now where I have to start letting go of some things. And so that's what I did. And I guess I realized that why I was hanging on to certain things in my business, like certain income streams, for example, was out of fear. And there was a fear around, well, if I let go of this, what will that look like? And what will that mean? And what impact will that have on my finances? What impact will that have on my diary? All those sorts of, very natural fears that all therapists and coaches experience at some point, I imagine, came to the fore. And it was so scary sometimes thinking about it that it was almost palpable. But I realized today that through talking with one of my colleagues who was saying, well, you need to go back to your, spiritual practices. She was 100% right. I had let them go over the last couple of weeks. And so she's right. And so I need to reconnect with that sort of energy. And so I was thinking just a few moments ago that if I adopted a spiritual framework to where my practice is at the moment, I can definitely see it's needing to let go of some things so that new things can come. It's never sad when a tree, for example, loses its leaves. Everybody says, oh, wow, the tree's lost its leaves, and we get to walk on the beautiful carpet of orange and amber and yellow, leaves everywhere, and, it's just beautiful. And we see that this is a sign of transformation. And I think this is the same that happens in our business when it's that autumn season. It's a transformation. And in order for change to happen, you don't just keep adding new things, you have to let some things go. And so with that mindset, I've now been able to make, a really big decision in my business. And this was something I was quite scared of, but now I see it needed to happen, and I actually feel really aligned with it. And it was so much easier to do now that I have this new perspective. And so from here, I guess what will this look like is that I will now move into what's called a winter period. And so for my business, what that could look like, and I don't know yet, I don't have a crystal ball, but what a winter period can look like is it might look like, dormant. Nothing's growing in winter. So I don't know that I'm going to be, replenishing that financial stream over the next few months. So it will mean that I would need to look at, how do I manage that and what can I put in place? And what that means is that this will be a time for gathering. So we know that there are even some animals in winter that like to gather stuff and then they just kind of hibernate, don't they? So I'm thinking this is probably what's going to happen to my business. I think perhaps over the next few weeks, I might start putting some things together and setting them up. And then when the winter period comes and everything just sort of is dormant for a little while, for a few weeks or whatever, that is probably the time when I need to go on a holiday or I need to take my break. And it would make so much sense to do it while everything is more quiet. You don't want to be taking breaks and holidays when your practice is really busy and, you're needed and you're relied upon and depended upon, even with good systems in place, which we have, and even with good automations in place, which we have. It's still, I don't think, never in the practice best interest for the director to go AWOL in a busy season. So I will now go and plan a trip, and maybe I'll go to Daylesford over Easter or something like that, because that should fit in with my prediction, let's call it, of a winter season coming. So I'll take myself away for a week and I will just disconnect from my social, I'll disconnect from work, and I will give myself that downtime. And we were also talking about this morning as well, but I think it's something that is really good to model for, you guys. I think it's important that I actually practice what I preach, and it feels really in alignment for me to be able to do that. And I know that you're not going to get upset if I'm not available for a week, because if you understand I'm taking my time, I think it makes it easier then for you guys to say, oh, okay, then I'll take my time too. And I really want you to understand that it's so important that as women we are looking after ourselves. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. And then I'll be super duper duper excited because a few weeks after that, it's that spring season in your business. And spring is really all around growth. It's around launching. It's around new clients being attracted to your business. It's about perhaps new services taking off and perhaps new programs being assembled and put together. It can be new collaborations. It might be interstate workshops and speaking events and things like that. It's just a busy period where there's a whole lot of stuff happening. Maybe it's going to be a new team member, who knows? But there will be this big burst of growth on the horizon. And it's by anchoring into that understanding that has created mental and energetic space for me to be able to be okay with letting go of something that I previously saw as unletgoable, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to share this with you today because today was a really huge day for me energetically. I have been feeling a bit depleted lately because I haven't been engaging in those spiritual practices, and it's kind of embarrassing to say that because it's something that I hold so dear to my heart, and it's something I'm always talking to you guys about that's so important. But I want to be transparent. I want to be honest with you and let you know it's been a bit of a struggle recently, but I get it now. I see it now. And I want to help you be able to see it and get it too. So I'll share with you some of the things that helped me because maybe they'll help you. But the first thing was, of course, it's so important to touch base with colleagues who understand your business, who understand what you're going through. Now, they can be peers, but they might also be mentors. They might be your coach. It might be your supervisor, but absolutely connecting with somebody and being able to share your fear in a safe space and have a trusted audience to listen to you and to give you guidance and be willing to be coachable and listen to what those colleagues or mentors have to share from their practice wisdom is absolutely, essential. So that would be the first thing. And if you don't have face-to-face support, then you can absolutely find support online. There are lots of places. So if you need a referral or a recommendation, just hit reply or tap my email in the show notes. The second thing would be, to really make sure that what you're doing is in your business is aligned with your values. And I think one of the things that I was able to reflect on today too was that the reason I've been feeling so out of sorts is because I've unconsciously found myself in a position where things were happening in one of my businesses that were not aligned. They were not aligned with my values. They were not aligned with my brand vision. They were not aligned with the message that I wanted to share. They were not aligned with how I wanted to generate revenue in my business. And because I was so in it, I couldn't see it. And so I ended up going kind of down the rabbit hole a little bit. So now moving forward, as I share with you, it's something I will also do too, is I'll make a note for myself and I'll stick it on the wall so that I can look at it when I'm having a bad moment or I'm having a bad week in the business. I'll be able to look at that and ask myself, are you in alignment? What is out of alignment? And I think just asking myself what's out of alignment is absolutely going to help me see what's going on and then be able to take action from there. The other thing too is to, I guess, just be kind to yourself. I think, I felt prey to this as well, and I've done so much spiritual work. I can't believe it happened. But even as recently as this morning, I was sharing about how I was in the grind and I was forcing it and I was just so in hustle mode, and that's not like me. That's the antithesis of everything I stand for. I guess none of us is perfect, and I help my clients get through this, and I'm so pleased that I get the opportunity to do that. I'm so pleased that they have connected with somebody, and I would encourage you to connect with somebody too, because you need somebody to yank you out of it every now and again. You can't just be operating by yourself, because I can't imagine how hard this period in my business could have been had I not had spirituality to fall back on, my spiritual frameworks, my understanding of alignment, and good supports around me to help, yank me back out of it like a bungee, yank me back out of it and help me see what was going on from a completely different perspective. So I do have some questions that I would encourage you, maybe if you're not driving, if you're at home listening to this, maybe pause the podcast, go and grab a pen and piece of paper, because I'll give you 3 questions now. So the first one is, when you're in this, difficult space in your business, I want you to ask yourself, what is it costing you to stay in this space? Okay, what is it costing you to stay in this space? The second question is, what would become available to you once you let go? What would then become available to you once you let go? And then the third prompt is, I would encourage you to look back at some of the good times in your business, and I want you to focus on that moment and then do your very, very best to think about what led up to it. And I'll bet you my bottom dollar that there was some kind of breakdown that you went through before you had your breakthrough. I bet you that there was. And that was something that I've also been able to recognize for my business. And that was really a very helpful exercise for me to do, because it then provided me with an anchor. There's this saying in psychology that our previous experience is the best predictor of our future, or our past behavior is the best predictor of our future. Generally, things that have happened before are really good predictors of things that will happen again. And so if you can look back at different points and you can say, geez, yes, I remember that was really hard. And I remember all the things, oh my gosh, I blacked it out. I didn't want to remember that. But you'll then be able to have a look at what happened after, and you'll see that something really good came from it. And that will then give you this different perspective of understanding and having appreciation and, dare I say, perhaps even gratitude for what you're going through. And I have to say, this has all happened really quickly. Like for me, this shift has just happened really, really quickly. And I want to say now that this morning I was feeling really low vibe, and now I'm feeling like just so grateful that this happened in my business, because it is going to create change. It needed to happen. Now is the time, and I've got weeks ahead of me where I can start to assemble all of the things that need to be in place. I can start fertilizing the ground, so to speak, so that I can enjoy a beautiful harvest in the spring. So I'm thankful. And yeah, you can be too. And I hope that these questions help you very, very much. I have webinars that I run every fortnight on a Thursday that you're also invited to join, and they're free, but they're all for private practice owners. And the one coming up this week is about how to optimize your diary so that you can, call in the money, but also cut back the hours that you're working, so that your kids can remember who you are. Or if you don't have children like me, your fur baby will remember who you are. So there's that. They're always free to watch and get the replays if you register. If you don't, then you can just head over to the webpage and you can have a look at them. They're $47. There's a whole bunch on there now, and I will just keep uploading them as we go. Also, something else very exciting is I'm going to be putting up some extra tools and resources for private practice owners over the next few weeks. Maybe this is what I'm going to do in my winter period. Maybe that's going to give me the space I need to be able to put these things together. So a bunch of people have asked me recently, could they purchase my documentation? And so the answer is yes. I mean, it wasn't something I really thought of doing for myself, but it's usually things that I've put aside for coaching clients, but there are certainly some things that I can share with you, and I will save the other things for my coaching clients. And I also have a dashboard. So I know some of you are after a dashboard. So I will see if I can get that uploaded to the site as well. So head over to the website if you want to check out all of that stuff. It's constantly being updated. And if there's anything that's not on there that you would like to see, of course, please let me know. I'm not going to be offended. I'd rather you tell me so that I can provide it for you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening today. I really appreciate your time and following and supporting and your words of encouragement, and it's just such a real joy for me to be able to do these episodes for you. And I hope that those 3 prompts that I've given you can really help you when you're having a tough time in business. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you on Thursday at the webinar. I'll talk to you later. Happy Saturday. Bye guys. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. Help me help others by sharing this podcast. And if you feel called to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, remember to let me know so that I can send you a very special thank you gift. Now go and build your dream business, and I will see you next time. Bye.